just as we did yesterday, we're going to focus on just the first three verses of the Bible. That's Genesis 1, 1 and 3, or 1 through 3, rather. And specifically, we are going to concentrate on verse 2 because, as we said yesterday, this is the formula for all things. So if you're taking notes, I want you to write this down. Like causes, like causes, always produce like effects.
Like causes
Cause
always produce like effects.
always
Yeah.
produce like effects.
Mm-hmm.
Always, and underline that word always. We currently reside in a cause and effect universe, a cause and effect reality. The problem is, Nasi, we have just been focusing primarily on the effects
Absolutely.
and not the causes.
Right, right. I know where you're going on that.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So today we're just going to be focusing for the most part on one portion of verse 2 in Genesis 1. In English, it says without form and void. But in the Hebrew, it says tohu babohu. I want you
Yeah.
all to hear, pay attention to language. Tohu babohu. Write down the word capital H, capital U. Then next to it, write down HOO, as in tohu babohu.
Wow. Boy, this is
It's unmistakable, Nasi. Unmistakable.
yeah, I see. I see.
Our ancestors were so wise and so brilliant
Yes, they
in encoding this language because they are therefore the inventors of language.
yeah.
Now we're gonna get right to the heart of this and right down to the bare metal on this. This is the essential teachings uh, in this realm. Now see, in this realm.
Yeah.
All right. Every round goes higher and higher, but from where we are, where we,
Yeah.
this is the essential teaching. Like causes always produce like effects. So we're going to focus on verse 2 and this first part, without form and void. Tohu babohu. I'm reading from a document that I introduced to you all some time ago, probably within the last 3 or 4 months. This document called Atomic Suicide. And we're going to start out reading from it, but we're going to return to one portion of the book, The Mysticism of Sound and Music by Hazrat Inayat Khan. One portion that we went over yesterday. reading from the portion of Atomic Suicide called The True Nature of This Mind and Motion Universe. The True Nature of This Mind and Motion Universe. Many times, Nasik, when they use the word mind,
Oh, I'm clear. Go ahead.
they're actually referring to consciousness.
Absolutely. We're going to verify that. I'm going to help you do it today, okay?
They're actually talking about consciousness.
Consciousness, right.
And when we speak of consciousness, we're going to simplify this language as much as possible. We want to, as much as possible, bypass the use of the word God. And we've done that to a certain extent by using the word divinity.
Right.
But synonymous with divinity is consciousness.
Absolutely, yes.
So we want to use those words side by side, consciousness slash divinity. We also
Yes.
can use the term being, being. All right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
So that would be I am a divine conscious being,
correct.
or divine consciousness is
But
what we are.
we want to use those words consciousness as a state of being,
State of consciousness. Okay.
as a state of being, and
State of being.
divinity,
Right.
divinity
Right.
as a state of being as well.
All
Absolutely, right.
right.
We want to make this very clear.
Mm-hmm.
Consciousness
State of being.
is
That's what I've been doing in my last few writings. That's exactly what you just, that's exactly what I've been doing.
well, this is what the ancestors want to make this perfectly clear, Nasi. So that
Yes, sir.
there is little confusion as to what we mean by these terms.
Right.
So when they say the true nature of mind, they are actually speaking about the true nature of consciousness. And when
Absolutely,
they
right.
say and motion universe, they're
Mm-hmm.
saying reality,
Yeah.
reality as we know it.
There you
This,
go.
this will be made a lot simpler as we break this thing down. So, reading from this portion that they entitle The True Nature of This Mind and Motion Universe. The time has come in man's unfolding when he should have more knowledge of the nature of this electric universe of motion. Now, this is 1957
1957.
when
Okay.
this came out. So
Wow.
that's a very important year. Not only is that my birth year, but it's a very important year, Nasik, on our timeline, both prophetically and historically.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all related to the descension family, the
Yeah.
descent, because it is that downward linear motion that we were in up until now.
Yeah.
He has never truly known it, for he has but sensed its shadow. And this is, but he's agreeing with Nasik and I because we've only defined the universe through the five senses.
Yeah.
And rarely, if ever, have
Right.
we truly understood the energetic nature of this reality and viewed it from this standpoint. The real meaning of substance, that's physical substance and material, has never been known by man for what it is. He only knows it for what he senses it to be.
Me. Yes.
And
Yes.
this right here is the nature of our deception.
Right.
The nature of our deception, because our senses have deceived us.
Absolutely. They've been altered, no question.
They've deceived us. They've deceived us into thinking that the world or reality is physical and material and nothing else. Of course, we say that there's a spiritual reality, but we have not known that.
No.
We have not known that. And it's time that we need to do it because it's time to come up out of here. Actually, we live in two universes.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually just one universe with two aspects to it.
Two aspects. Mm-hmm.
The invisible or unknown zero universe of cause
Mm-hmm.
and the visible universe of effect. We've only known, by and large, we've only known our reality in terms of effect.
That's it.
Exclusively, almost exclusively, Nasi.
Knock on. That's correct.
And, again, intellectually, we've been aware of spirituality and we talk about it and we make our mouths talk about the spiritual aspect or what he calls the invisible zero aspect of the universe.
Right.
But we've been profoundly trapped into effects and we didn't know how to get out. We weren't even concerned about getting out.
Wasn't in concern at all.
We were just uh, overwhelmed, if you really want to know the truth, dealing with the effects.
That's
Dealing
right.
with
I
the
never
effects.
crossed our mind to get out.
Absolutely. We have sensed the effect and believed in its reality. We were
Yeah.
deceived. It's illusory. It's a false simulated matrix, only a reflection of something larger and more substantial. But we don't give the weight or the gravity to the invisible. We give the weight and gravity to what? The physical, the material, what we say is substantive.
Yes. Yes.
We have never yet known the universe of cause. It is time that we begin to know God's, that is, divinity's, invisible universe, which is in absolute control of the visible universe.
Mm-hmm.
Man will never solve the riddle of the universe until he fully knows and comprehends the zero universe, which he can in no way hear or see, family, with the five physical senses. You cannot
Right.
experience it. And when we talked about going outside of the senses, or there were glitches in the matrix, which allowed us to see beyond the physical false matrix of reality, we got real fearful and spooky about stuff like that.
Yes, we did.
How can we know it, however, and in so knowing, he can likewise know God? Now, this is the whole point, knowing our divinity.
Right.
Knowing our divinity. Divinity knows us. And its intent, the higher intent, is us to know divinity.
Yes.
Highlight that because we're going to come back to that. He can even prove the fact of the omnipresent consciousness in his laboratory. We're not going to use the word God here. Nor shall man ever solve the riddle of his own self or higher being, his own identity, until he knows that he himself, and they say it is as eternal as God is eternal. That's very dualistic.
Yeah,
Until he
right,
knows
right,
that he himself is divine consciousness and divine being.
right,
We're not going to mess around with this no more now, see.
right. No.
When man knows that he is consciousness and that his body is consciousness creation, like causes always produce like effects,
Right.
as the whole universal body is the divine creation of consciousness, he will then know what the consummate mystic of 2,000 years ago meant when he said, I and my Father are one. Echad. Now, we're familiar with that.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can quote it, but we've never experienced it.
No, right,
We ain't never really tried to experience it.
right.
So, this aspect of knowing your divinity, this is job one. This is job one, knowing your divinity, fully knowing it. Follow me. Creation begins with the activity of consciousness. Remember, tohu vabohu means consciousness at rest,
Head
sound
rest.
at
Right.
rest. So the creative process begins with the activity of consciousness,
Absolutely.
which may be called vibration, and we'll call it that,
Mm,
vibration. That is, family, when it says the Spirit of God moved
right.
upon the face of the water. That is vibration. Are you all
Yes.
with me?
Mm-hmm.
That is vibration. And we're going to go to take a closer look at this so that we're just locked in on the same page and literally, pun intended, on the same note and sheet of music. So that word moved is the word rachaf.
Right.
Rachaf.
Yep.
7363, Rachef, Rachef.
All right.
Yep.
Go ahead, Nasi.
No, no, I didn't say nothing. Go ahead.
Okay. It literally means to shake, move, or flutter. Flutter.
Brother.
Shake,
That's
rattle,
right.
and roll.
Right.
All right.
Right.
And it's a primitive root. And it means literally to be soft, to be
Right.
moved emotionally. Are you all
Right.
with me?
Yeah.
To be affected,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the feeling of tender love. This was a
Right.
movement, not in a mind, but in a heart.
Mm-hmm.
Like causes always produce like effect. So divinity has a heart. Yes, it not like ours, but something came into motion like our physical heart. Are you all with me?
Yeah.
So it was the feeling physically that we attribute to love.
Right.
The word cord, family, follow me, please. The word cord is related, or when you look at the etymology, it is actually KERD. It is a prefix, like in accord, concord, all right? Cardiac. Are you all with me?
Mm-hmm.
So it is a movement of a not just a CORD, but a COCHORD. It
Right.
is the vibrational frequency of the heart, or the vibrational frequency of what we call love.
Mm-hmm.
Eitai,
Yes.
question or
Right.
clarity. When you said divinity has a heart, but not like us, could you
Right.
elaborate on?
Well, divinity it doesn't have a physical heart like that. Divinity doesn't have a physical heart like we have. Very simply that. But the feelings of emotions, the seat of emotions and intelligence is what we're referring to. It shows up in us in the descent as a physical heart or a heart chakra. Are you all with me?
Yeah, just to add to that, Devorah, what we're talking about, divinity is consciousness. And consciousness, once you are conscious, what you know today is consciousness in the physical, you feel something. You follow what I'm saying? So your feelings are based upon, quote unquote, this physical sense organs that exist within the body. But the heart, as he said, we're not talking about a literal heart that consciousness has, but it does have, you understand, the energy that causes a vibration, that causes a feeling in the physical. Is that a little bit, that help a little bit more?
Okay, absolutely.
Okay.
Now,
All right.
also, it is and we can relate to this. It is the creative impulse which
That's
comes
right.
from the heart.
There you
The
go.
creative impulse. We realize it in duality and separation as when you find someone that you are so-called attracted to, that you feel love for that person. In the heart of that, you want to get together and what? Create. So we're focusing on that feeling, the same
Yes.
feeling that we have in the duality and separation to create. This is what happened. It was moved in that same area, in the
Yes.
same vibrational frequency that love, romance, attraction, physical sex, that resonates on. Does it
Yes.
make sense?
Yes. Yes.
And in
Mhm.
Hebrew, it's the word rachaf. Rachaf. All right? We get that
Right.
little fluttering or shaking inside. It's not physical, but it is a vibration.
Yes.
And we say, hey, I'm feeling her, or I'm feeling him, or I wasn't feeling her. She wasn't feeling me. Are you all with me? It's just as
Yes.
simple as that. As above, so below, like causes always produce like effects. Are we clear?
Yes.
So creation begins with the activity of consciousness, which may be called vibration. And again, according to Genesis 1 and 2, moved on the face of the water. It's this movement, this vibrational frequency of creation, vibrational frequency of creation. Is everyone with me?
Mm-hmm.
And every vibration, starting from its original source or its cause, is the same. Like causes produce like or the same effects, right?
Yeah.
Differing only in its tone and rhythm, caused by a greater or lesser degree of power behind it. On the plane of sound, vibration causes diversity of tone. And the world of atoms, diversity of color. So the sound moves into the one sound which contains the diversity of tone, moves and creates physically atoms which are just light, right? And then those atoms, diversity of color. That is the creation of the physical world, the material world, in a sentence. It is by massing together that the vibrations become audible. But at each step towards the surface, they multiply. And as they advance, they materialize. Sound gives to consciousness as evidence of its existence. I'm sorry, sound gives to the consciousness as evidence of its existence, although it is, in fact, the active part of consciousness. Consciousness has an active part, right? And it has a part that is at rest.
Yes.
When it began to create, now see, it created by vibrating and then it rested because that one vibration is still resonating today.
Yeah.
That is how we continue to move and live and have our being, because we continue to vibrate. Is everyone with me?
Yeah, this is very profound. Now, anybody that have ever did any kind of medical research, they will tell you that when a child comes into being, the first thing starts is the heart start beating.
That's correct.
And what they have noticed also when they do an operation, they notice that this whole thing about this heart, they don't know what causes the heart to what be activated. And so they have been having serious problem with these kind of things of taking a heart out of somebody and putting another by someone else's heart in, because what happened, the emotions and feeling that the individual has had, those are the same feeling that you pick up.
And I say this is dealing with effects only.
Yeah.
That is dealing with effects only and not the cause.
No, absolutely correct. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sound gives to the consciousness as evidence of its existence, although it is in fact the active part of consciousness and evidence of its existence. I'm sorry, the active part of consciousness itself, which turns into sound. Forgive me. The active part of consciousness itself, which turns into sound.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the critical verse here that we're going to focus on today and begin this journey that we're going to take. The knower, so to speak, becomes known to himself. Right there is the entire intent and purpose for existence. The desire for the knower, for consciousness, for divinity to know itself.
Yeah.
That's the mission that you're on.
Yes, yes.
You are the knower, but you want to know yourself. From the knower knowing the physical, and then the physical looking back on itself and knowing its divine, non physical expression. This is what
Yeah.
we've had so much difficulty in doing.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
The knower, so to speak, becomes known to himself in this process. In other words, the consciousness bears witness to its own voice. The falcon has heard the falconer. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's move from here. When we look at the scripture, it talks about this desire for divinity to be known. Follow me. 1 Corinthians 13, 11 through 13. When I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. We got to grow up, family. We got to mature. This is a journey through new territory, and it's for spiritually mature individuals, spiritually mature souls. Now, see,
Yes.
not infants, still drinking milk, not weaned, as the scripture says, from the mother's breast. So we have to take this step by step.
Eitai,
Yes.
let me confirm some things that you have just laid out for us. I'm reading from the Hebrew Greek Key Study Bible in the lexical aid to the Old Testament, and it's coming from verse 2, and the Spirit moved upon the waters. And I'm going to read something to verify what you just said.
Uh-huh.
Number 7307, and the word is Ruach, and show you what we've been doing, and we got ourselves trapped just like he said. I'm going to pick it up here. It says, Ruach, the Ruach of all mankind is in God's hand. And I'm going to give you the scriptures, Job 12:10, Isaiah 42:5. It was bestowed by a special creative act of God, Genesis 2:7 and 1 and 24, Genesis 1 and 24. Now here we go. Man's inner being reflects the image of God. Now we know this God, we're going to come to see exactly what it is, what Eitai been laying out. We're going to come to see. So if God has no image, and Ben-Ami, he done already said that,
Right.
you know. So this man's inner being doesn't reflect something physical as an image, okay?
That's
He
correct.
said, eventually, Ruach came to mean the entire immaterial consciousness of man.
That's right.
Immaterial consciousness of man. Though the Old Testament usually treats man as a whole, it is also recognized that he essentially has two parts, flesh and spirit,
Correct.
combined to form self, called nephesh. So we'll stop right there.
Right.
Right there. So we see that this creative force is truly consciousness, and consciousness is immaterial.
That's
It is
correct.
not something physical, And so we know for a surety that everything comes from within, because without consciousness, there is nothing to do anything, with. You don't do nothing with you without consciousness, But we had the dictionary definition
Right.
of just awareness, and as far as we went with it.
That's correct, Nasi. Absolutely correct.
Continue on, Eitai.
All right. So we want to focus on this aspect again of the knower being known. All right. Consciousness knowing itself.
Yes.
When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. This is 1 Corinthians 13, 11 through 13. I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. Listen, for now we see through a glass darkly.
Yeah.
That glass is a looking glass, is the
Yeah.
reflection. It is
Right.
consciousness trying to look at itself. But up until
Right.
this point, Nasi,
Yeah.
it's been like looking through a glass darkly or dimly. You
Yeah.
couldn't really see divinity.
Right.
You didn't even recognize that it was there because
Right.
you were too busy looking up in the sky or wherever for an external God,
Yes. Yes.
or looking either internally for something that akin to that definition, something inhabiting you that was not you.
Yeah. Right.
And Nasik said that we called that the Holy Ghost,
Yeah, we did.
but it was still something external that wasn't you entering into you. And that is what the vast majority of so-called spiritual people, even though they mouth the words, I and my Father are one, they still have a dualistic perception and conception of that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know from the physical, even as I'm known from the divine level of consciousness. Not something external to me, but me looking in the mirror, the human aspect of me looking at my divine aspect, and the divine aspect looking right at me.
Mm-hmm.
I seek, and we both recognizing, hey, that's me.
That's me.
That's
Yeah.
in the descent and separation and duality in physical form. And this is me in my non physical divine form.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
difference. It's a difference, family.
Yes, it is.
So we want to move to a portion of the teaching that we did because we're going to focus in on this tohu vabohu. And this is
Right.
going to help us to see our divinity, to more closely see and understand and understand and comprehend our divinity. Chaos, listen, is definable as the absence of geometry. Let's go back to the book, The Mysticism of Sound and Music. The Mysticism of Sound and Music. And bear with me, family, because the PDF is a little bit different than the book. Chaos, tohu vabohu, is definable as an absence of geometry. Please, if you're taking notes, write that down. Chaos, that is tohu vabohu, without form and void is definable as an absence of geometry. Listen, chapter 1, under music, in the book, The Mysticism of Sound and Music. Why is music called the divine art? While all other arts are not so called, we may certainly see divinity in all arts and in all sciences. But in music alone, we see divinity free from all forms and thoughts. That's tohu vabohu. That is in its most pristine form, at rest, Nasi,
Yeah.
for it is defined. It is 100% potential. No form, no definition. Pure
Yeah.
at its purest state. In
Yeah.
every other art form, there is idolatry. We talked about this yesterday.
Yes,
That
we did.
definition of idolatry, it ain't about worshiping no false gods and all that kind of stuff. You're religious. That is a childlike, immature, base level understanding of that. I'm going to make that very clear. Idolatry, Nasi, refers to the physical world of form, motion, and definition.
Yes, yes, yes.
Sound alone is free from form. Every word of poetry forms a picture in our mind.
I
Now,
guess that's
this is not a moralistic statement I'm about to say. It is a symbolic, allegorical statement. When a
right.
picture forms in your mind, that is called idolatry. When an image,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
predefined definition,
yeah, yeah. I went over this
someone
earlier
else,
today.
not see, someone else is controlling the program
Yes, yes.
and not your divinity.
Yeah,
That is called idolatry.
yeah,
Sound alone does not make any object appear before us. So chaos is definable as an absence of geometry, an absence of image, an absence of form.
yes, right.
Is everyone with me?
Yes.
However, a universe without geometry, experience, and growth would be impossible. It would be oblivion. Creation, that is consciousness, that is our divine being, used geometry to express itself not just in our universe, but as the universe,
Yeah.
as our world of reality, which is the world of form, motion, shape, definition, language, etc., and so on. Geometry created the potential for crystal mineral structure within the one undifferentiated reality. Structures like you and I, perfect expressions of consciousness in motion.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'm going to pause here, ask if we aren't still on the same sheet of music, singing the same song together. All right, as we resume. So we know that divinity, Nasi touched on this recently, is the former of all things, correct?
Yeah.
And we just broke it down how divinity, how consciousness forms things. It's very simple. It's
Yes.
very, very simple. Modern science calls this initial or defines this initial movement, this initial vibration. They define it as the Big Bang. Are you all
Yeah.
with me?
Yes.
Here it says a recording has been made of what is believed to be the faint echo of the sound wave of the Big Bang reverberating through the galaxies. Now, this is from an article that was written that's called the amplituhedron. The amplituhedron. Remember, subtitle is Sound and Light is Everything. Everything is sound and light. Everything is sound and light. Simple as it gets, family. Simple as it gets. It sounds rather like a 747 flying only 10 feet over your head. Another place it's described as cosmic wind. All right? Cosmic wind. Nasik ruach,
Yes. Yes.
breath, wind.
Yeah.
And they describe it as like a 747 jet airplane flying 10 feet over your head. It was the loudest sound there ever was. This sound or note, family, is likely to be what Western metaphysicians refer to as the logos or the word. We're all familiar. In the beginning was the word. The word
Yeah.
with God. The word was God. John 1 and 1. And from the Vedas, in the beginning was Brahman, with whom was the word. So in all of the spiritual traditions, it is this sound that is first, the Nasi.
Yeah.
This sound, this word, this wind, this breath, this ruah. And of course, we've been focusing on one of the names that is who, all right? Hu. Follow me.
Mm-hmm.
The seeds of atoms and minerals, the Platonic solids, were born in the kymatic sound of creation. In the kymatic sound of creation. That is another name for the Big Bang or Ruach. Science calls it the kymatic sound, or you might hear them say, or some people say, the cymatic sound. That
Yeah.
is an English pronunciation with the soft C of the Greek kymatic.
Yeah.
All right. The Platonic solids, remember that uh, the universe is expressed in geometry. And they've given us these kymatic symbols, these five kymatic symbols called the Platonic solids. And they said the one sound was Om. All right? Write that down, OM. If we've practiced meditation to any particular degree, we're familiar with Om. We've introduced the word hue, all right? HU or HOO. Follow me, family. Another variation is the word home, HOM, HOM, home or ham, all right? And we want to focus on that second pronunciation, Ham. All right. The other pronunciation of the sound is whom, H-U-M, or another pronunciation of H-U-M is, of course, hum, hum. Y'all not with me. The
Mm-hmm.
ancestors that made this so simple to understand, family.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're not going to spend no more time on it. We're not going to add to it. We're not going to take away from it. Now, see, we just right in the moment, right in the now.
Right in the moment.
They were arranged, these platonic solids, or these chimatic symbols, geometric symbols, were arranged according to the above pattern, it being the blueprint for everything. And we see this above pattern called the flower of life, all right,
Right.
in which we see configured the tree of life. Geometry and language work like this. Now, see,
Yeah.
they are patterns within patterns, vibrations within vibrations,
Mm-hmm.
frequencies housed in frequencies. Is everyone
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
sounds within sounds, letters within letters, symbols within symbols, shapes within shapes, patterns within patterns? The straight lines in the pattern, or the ones, are male. The circles or zeros are female. So when they talk about the zero invisible, now see, zero reality or zero universe, they are talking about a feminine aspect
Yeah. Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the universe that is hidden.
Right.
And we know that the organs, the creative organs, don't you play on an organ?
Yeah.
All has to do with music. The
Yeah.
creative organs in the feminine, physical, feminine material body are what? Internal or invisible, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Metatron's cube is the primary route that spirit takes to enter the physical universe.
Yeah.
It's just a map, family, of how we got here. So if we understand and comprehend the map and the process by which we got into the physical, what do you think will happen when we try to get out?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go straight out.
Yeah.
It is the matrix whose sudden appearance and evolution within chaos creates order. Thus, let there be light. It begins with one self-aware particle coming out in awareness from its center and spontaneously following this pattern to create a universe within the universe, a
Mm-hmm.
body with which it can interact with its environment, grow and evolve, grow and evolve. Now, we want to focus on this one part, chaos being definable as the absence of geometry. And Nasik also, chaos being a state of being,
Mm-hmm.
of divinity or consciousness. Chaos is divinity or consciousness at rest.
Yes.
I know it is counterintuitive to what we've been taught about chaos.
Right.
They talk about chaos being actually what it has evolved to mean is anarchy, lawlessness,
Right. That's right. Right.
rioting, a lot of activity, but that's not the case. That's a product, Nasik, of inversion
Yes, it is.
relative to its etymology and its definition. The ancient, archaic, and obsolete meaning of chaos is undefined. It means undefined, unformed, in its
Yeah.
purest state, unadulterated, untouched, pristine, at rest, stillness, silence, calmness. It is our conception of Shabbat.
Right.
Where we think God was at rest, got active for 6 days, and then rested on the seventh day. Are y'all with
Oh, Eitai, that's just too much. But you see, that had to be conceptualized in the false mind matrix of
That's
the
correct.
yeah. That had to be. That's all it could be defined as, right?
That's correct.
Boy, you talking about knowing the truth. Now,
I'm telling you. But is it self-evident? Does it all make perfect sense?
self-evident, self-evident.
It absolutely does. It's
Again,
so clear.
we just gonna take a dip into these two words without form, these two phrases, without form and void, tohu vabohu. So we look, Nasi, and we notice right away, look at this word, who. Are y'all seeing it?
Okay, let me see. Who?
After
Yeah, uh-huh.
the word tohu is the word who, H-U, right?
Yeah, right, right.
And it's pronounced like we pronounce who. See, it's all
Mm-hmm.
going to get back to it because this is where everything originated from.
Yeah.
And it's not so much a name for any type of God or divinity, obviously, that is external to us.
Absolutely right.
One thing that Seven Bomar points out, I'm going to share the video with you uh, once I share the recording of this particular class today with you. He points out, and now see, he's done a magnificent job with this English language and decoding it.
He really have, right.
I give him, I believe he is the foremost authority on this
Yeah, yeah.
that I've seen. And he
All
points
right.
out in this particular video that the key aspect and characteristic of the English language is that it is backwards.
Yeah.
And within that statement, follow me now, within that statement of backwards, when you break it down, you have back words.
Backwards, right.
You've probably seen this video, Nasi.
I don't think I did, but I see where you're going.
So we've been deceived into thinking that who and Yahuwah and Allah, these Hebrew words that we translate or transliterate even into English, that they are names.
Yeah.
Follow me. Now, the
Oh boy.
reason why English is backwards is because Hebrew is read from right to left. And most esoteric languages go from right to left, family. English, very basically, is backwards because it goes from left to right. That's what we have to understand right away. We've taught you and spoken so much about this inversion, Nasi.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when you talk about the wheel of life or the wheel of time, English moves clockwise,
Right.
and that is the way of the descent. All right. Now, again, we're not comparing languages like that, as one is good and one is evil, or one is good and one is bad. We're adults, family. We're not children anymore. We don't view things as good or evil. We view them holistically. And we observe that Hebrew and the other esoteric languages move in a counterclockwise
Mm-hmm.
direction. So if you want to counter, it's not so much the language, it is the hidden aspect or the hidden truth, all right, that is
Right.
contained in esoteric languages. Follow me now. Left to right, Nasi, is logical.
Right.
It's logic. Right to left is non logical.
Right.
Logic put us into the descent. The message, not so much the language, the message that is hidden in esoteric language is ascension knowledge. Are you all with me?
Right. Mm-hmm.
In the English, the word name, when you move the first letter, the first shall be last, right?
Right.
And the last shall be first. When you move
Right.
that to the end, you get the word Amen.
Yeah.
And Amen is the name of that which is hidden, the hidden divinity. Are you all with me?
Mm-hmm.
So, hidden within what we in the descent would say these are names of God. No, no. That is your hidden divinity. Is everyone with me?
Yeah.
Moving on, family. Does everyone get that now?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Still on the same sheet.
let's go. Very good.
Still.
Very good. So let's delve into the Hebrew. So we see in the English transliteration, we see the word who in here, don't we?
Yes.
All right. It is defined, tohu is defined as formlessness.
Right.
Formlessness. That is divinity at rest, family. The way it is spelled, now see, it is nickel dotted here. That's
Yeah.
why we get the toe, but it is actually tahu because that's the ta or the tav, correct?
Right.
Now, the tav family, I'm going to tell you what our ancestors intended us to see. The tav, the original, I should say Paleo Hebrew, Hebraic representation is this. And it is defined as a mark. And it is a mark used. Has anybody ever seen them working on the street and they come
Yeah.
by and the part that they're going to work on, they put an X on the ground, spray painted?
Yes, right outside my door. Yep.
Right.
They're
So it
marking
is marking,
gas line or something.
right. It is marking the boundaries. And this is also an end mark. All right. It is an
Mm-hmm.
end mark because it is the last letter in the Hebrew alphabet. Correct?
Yes.
Hey, yeah.
Follow me now. Let's go to Bavohu or Bohu. All right. Bohu, which is translated, I guess I got to do it this way, which is translated as void.
Bohu.
Bohu.
Bohu. Do y'all see the who there as well?
Yeah.
Now, think with me. Y'all already know what I'm about to say. In a house, Nasi, I've heard you do it on the recording as we've been recording many times. Someone will enter the house that wants to see you.
Oh.
Usually, usually they stop at the boundary of the door.
Right.
And when you want them to come in, what do you say?
Bo.
Bohu.
Right.
So
Right.
you
That's right.
have the boundary of the one boundary, you mark out the end mark. And then Bo tells you to move forward, correct?
Right. Move forward. Right.
This is Tohu Bavohu is divinity before it's moved forward.
That's absolutely correct.
Is it
Absolutely.
simple? Is it simple, family?
Yes, it
It
is.
is. Only divinity could give. Mm, God,
The word
Yeah.
bow, watch.
should have been Ernie.
The word bow is H 935. We're going to break this down, family. This is so simple, the way that our ancestors did this. And it is all instructive. You begin with the tav or the toe, right? The tohu
Right.
or the tav. That is the toe. But we know that it is just this symbol here. And with the little nickel though. Now see, you know when they did these vowels, how they play little games with it. This is how our
Right.
ancestors they dealt with this, that they hid this in plain sight.
Mm-hmm.
So the tav is the end mark, all right?
Mm-hmm.
But bo, the bohu, means to come, doesn't it?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It means to bring, it means to enter in.
Right.
So in the zero reality, we start at an end mark
Yeah.
because
Right.
we have to have an end mark to what? have any spatial dimension, correct?
Yeah. Right. Right.
It
Right.
means to enter in, to come pass, look, to become, to begin, to be enumerated,
Right.
defined by tones, frequencies, measurements, height, depth, width. It's all contained within consciousness, family.
Yes. Yes.
It means to lead in, to carry in, to bring in. I'm telling you how you came in here. I'm
Yes.
reminding you of it. I'm not teaching you. I'm
Yes.
reminding you how you entered in, how we entered in. We set a mark and moved from there. And that created time, space, height, depth, width. But it all was contained in one sound. I'm going to stop. I'm going to pause here. So again, very quickly, Tohu H8414 is directly related to H8415 Tehom, which is the Hebrew word that is translated into English as deep. Darkness was on the face of the deep. This is so simple. That word home related to the word hue, family,
Yeah.
related to the word who. Just follow me. The next word that it's related to, like we said, is H8416. Tahila, the word that is translated as songs, which keeps this consistency of music, of sound, of rhythm, of vibration. And the root is Hallel, all right, which is transferred as Lucifer in the Old Testament scriptures. The one reference, I believe, in the Old Testament that uses the word Lucifer. And of course, we've connected that to the devil, to something evil,
Right. Right.
all right, to something that is rebellious. But it actually means to shine, to flash forth light. This is when light, when sound turned into light, family. Sound turned into light as it slowed down. Now, see, as it differentiated, as
You
I said in the beginning.
know what?
Yeah.
That light. I mean, I was told that was the bright. Taught that I should say that was the brightest angel, the angel of light.
And the
Before
angel with the musical
heaven.
organs. This is just an aspect of ourselves. This is
Yeah, I realize
an
that
aspect of
now. I'm
ourselves.
just. It always was connected to light in my mind, but even cast down. But anyway, let me get out of that. I'm
Right.
gone.
But weren't we cast down? Didn't
That's
we
what I'm
cast
saying.
ourselves
Yeah.
down?
What about our own selves, an aspect of ourselves being cast down, our divinity, in our mind? So nobody wanted to be connected to that. And
Right.
I'm so grateful to our ancestors for you and Abba. I'm good.
All right.
Hmm.
So moving back, remember we said write the words down. Hue, right?
Right.
HOM and HUM. We getting ready to finish up. Tehum, tehom, hue, hue, home, hum. To make a murmuring sound to cover embarrassment. Human. Do y'all see this? Hum, human. To buzz or vibrate. To drone. Y'all not hearing me. Early 15th century rather, probably imitated
Well,
origin to sing with closed lips, not use words. Now see, and it also means to be busy or active. Doesn't that define our lives here? Perhaps an analogy of a beehive,
Yep.
humming around, buzzing around like little worker bees. Doesn't that define the aspect of the reality absent, look, of a clear connection and clear knowledge of our own divinity?
Yes. Mm.
A murmuring sound made with the voice. Now we want to go back again as we close. Last point. Last point. And go back to this word tehom. And it's defined as the deep, the depths, the deep places, the abyss, the deep sea. All right? But not in terms of wetness like that. But family, when you get to the word whom or hum, which is the root word of tehum, right? Remember again, tav being the boundary or the marked off place, all right? The starting place, if you will. The word Hume, H 1949.
Strong's H 1949. Whom? Whom?
It has its origins in sound, a ringing, a great noise, a murmur, just like the English word hum. The English word hum, to murmur, whom, to make an uproar. That is the loud sound, the Big Bang, the cosmic wind or ruach, from which everything else emanated. Like causes always produce like effects. So the hum became what we call the hum or the hum man. We are vibrating at a very low frequency right now. So the cure for that is to constantly increase our vibratory frequency. Everything, family, is sound and light. So we're going to end here and ask, are there any questions or comments?